Hey everybody, how's it going? ProWresBlog here. I'm going to review WWE Monday Night Raw from December 21st, 2020. I usually don't watch Raw. I haven't watched Raw in years, to be honest. At 3 hours, man, I'm just not interested in it. I don't care what it is. That is way too long for me right now, especially if that show's bad or if it drags or if you're just not into what's going on at the time, Oh my God. No wrestling show should ever be 3 hours. I have no interest in even watching a great show that's 3 hours long. And especially for the way I do my blog, if you see my site at ProWresBlog.blogspot.com, um, the work I do takes much longer than the show does. Charlotte Flair and Asuka did a promo. I don't know. Asuka was kind of hard to understand, and she was kind of switching between English and Japanese. So I don't know how effective that was. Nyla Rose and Shayna came out because they were ripping on them, and then Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke came out and they got involved too. Then Charlotte booked a match between the two. She was like, "Hey, why don't you guys just fight now?" And they called a ref on, and they did. So I guess Charlotte has booking powers now. I mean, that's the only thing you could deduce from that. The match between Baszler and Jax versus Rose and Dana Brooke wasn't any good. It just went on too long, and you could just tell the blondes, Rose and Brooke, that they're just rehearsing spots. Like they don't really know what they're doing or why they're doing it. They're just doing spots and doing moves, and you know and they aren't that great. So, but there's just no passion. There's no feeling in it. We had the Hurt Business beating up. Well, they weren't really beating up a fan backstage, but there was a fan backstage, and they had a shirt on with the New Day. They ripped it off of them. I didn't like some of the underlying tones about this one. The Hurt Business then came out and they talked about how uh, they had a bunch of titles now and they wanted to pose for them and get a photo. Well, in a really cool moment, R-Truth came up behind them with his 24/7 title and photo bombed them, which was really funny. And Truth always makes stupid faces anyway, so this was especially amusing. And when everyone saw Truth was out there, they all started chasing them, which was funny too. Riddle and Hardy then came out in a long segment. And Riddle was talking nonsense and telling him to chill out and talking like a hippie and stuff. And Hardy said it's not the titles that matter; it's the character of the person that matters. Odd promo. We then had Angel Garza get interviewed by a blonde in the back. He was definitely hitting on her, and then that led into Angel Garza versus Drew Gulak. Gulak got squashed here. Garza threw his pants at him. Then he started beating him down. The beatdown would have been good, but he just like kind of hesitated for a while and it hurt it. He had Gulak tied up on the ropes and he punched him really hard in the face. Gulak was selling it after, so I know must have been a good shot because man, it looked like it. Gulak then won with the wing clipper, which is a double underhook drop down bomb for the win in a squash. AJ was interviewed with Osmos. He said he was screwed out of the title last night, and he said he's going to talk to Miz about this on Miz TV instead of, confronting him directly because he wants to know how he feels. They had a Miz TV segment. The Miz a lot of times everything he says it just looks so rehearsed and WWE style. You just don't see the reality and it doesn't feel real. But he did pretty good here. He talked about how he wanted to win the title with TLC because maybe people would finally take him serious, and there was a lot of truth in that one. So that's why that promo worked for me. I liked it. Miz apologized to AJ for his actions at TLC, and he said he has a gift for him, a co-star role in his next Marine movie, and he showed AJ like way behind him on the movie poster. See, I didn't see TLC, so I'm a little bit behind on this, and that's my fault. And Miz talked about like something must have happened with Morrison, and like Morrison did something with the contract. I guess he tried to cash it in, and Miz is saying that's not possible, and he was talking to his lawyer later in the show about this. During this whole segment, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Keith Lee came out. They were all reading like a Christmas poem, about Money in the Bank, and it was really lame. Again, it's just this WWE stuff that isn't really believable and no one would really say, but they were doing it anyway. And then they all got into a fight with Miz Morrison and AJ, which was going to be the main event of the show. We had T-Bar versus Ricochet. this was a total squash of Ricochet. The camera cuts were so bad. WWE just has this really bad camera work anymore, and they cut away every single second, and that's what happened here. They had some cool moves, but the cameras missed it because they were so worried about cutting away. Um, Ricochet really got thrown around. He did a nice bump on his neck for T-bar on a lariat. Ricochet did a moonsault off the post, and then he got nailed from behind. And Mustafa Ali was getting in his face and trying to talk trash to him, and Ricochet grabbed him and nailed him. T-Bar then did his weird finisher where he lifts him up like a torture rack and then drops him face first on the knee. The New Day were interviewed about losing their tag titles the previous night. I didn't like this at all because, you lost your tag titles. It should mean like a loss of money or a loss of something, and they're just like, whatever, we'll get it back. Not a good way to put over the titles. They had the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley and MVP versus Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle. This was pretty decent if I remember. Riddle and Hardy are kind of a fun team. Riddle jumped off of Hardy's back and did his dive thing. He got flipped by Hardy, and Hardy went up to the top rope, maybe for like a whisper in the wind or something, but he got pushed on, and he landed ugly, hitting the steps and hitting the post, and that didn't look very fun. And of course, even though there's 15 cameras, they still missed it somehow. MVP did his ball and elbow. Riddle made a nice comeback, showing some fire, hitting an exploder and a senton, and then he jumped off of Hardy's back and flew to the outside, hitting the Hurt Business. Hardy went for a spear, and Lashley put on the full Nelson, or the Hurt Lock, if you want to call it that, and won the match. Miz and Morrison argued. Then we went to a different segment where Elias was in the ring with Riker. He talked about how hard of a year he had. He said that Riker was reborn into the Universal Truth. And, of course, they had to be interrupted. This time they were interrupted by Grand Metalik and his partner. This didn't go very long at all. They had Riker and Metalik. The highlight here was during the match, Elias climbed the top rope and was playing his guitar while the match went on. I don't know why the ref didn't stop that, because that shouldn't have been allowed, but that's not what happened. Anyway, of course, he got nailed up there. Metallic climbed the top rope, and they kind of took too long, which ruined it. And, because Metallic didn't want to fall, but he Hurricane Rana Elias off. Riker, of course, recovered during all this, and then he nailed Grand Metalik with a sit-out choke bomb for the win. I didn't see TLC or Money in the Bank, whatever the pay-per-view was the night before, so I missed some of this, but I know that Randy Orton burned the Fiend somehow. He burned his face, and they had a promo with Alexa's Playground. Alexa Bliss, during this, she came out with a swing set, and she was acting like a little kid, and she was saying how Orton didn't really kill the Fiend and how the Fiend's going to be back and hurt him. This was a really weird segment for a lot of reasons. Why is Alexa Bliss acting like a kid? Why does she have insight onto the Fiend that nobody has? Why did the whole arena go dark? All kinds of stuff that you could just ask for days about. You could take it for what it is, or you can just rip it apart. I don't know. Totally up to you. We had Charlotte and Asuka versus Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. This was a pretty quick one here. Charlotte ended up winning this one with the figure 8, and she got a lot of shine here, beating up on everybody. Miz was on the phone with his lawyer in the back, and AJ ended the call to tell him to get ready. So we had a Christmas street fight. It was a holiday street fight technically. It was McIntyre, Lee, and Sheamus versus Morrison, The Miz, and AJ Styles. This whole match, it just got ruined because it was a no DQ match where you could do anything you wanted, and instead the faces decided to follow the tag rules. They didn't try to use any of the weapons on the outside, and neither did the heels until later on, and just didn't make any sense. They're obeying counts or breaking submissions and stuff. It's like, well, it's a no DQ match. Why would you do that? What sense does that make? Because you can't be disqualified. There was a cool spot where McIntyre and Sheamus double hammered the heels, and there was also a cool spot where Lee and McIntyre really threw John Morrison on a suplex. They really kind of undershot a lot of the weapons that were outside and stuff. It really didn't happen until the very end. Miz got thrown into a tree. Sheamus got thrown through a table with stuff on it. AJ really went through a tray with all kinds of food on it. He got eggnog all over his face, which was kind of funny. Um, Sheamus and Morrison had a lightsaber duel with these candy canes that were at ringside. They missed two table spots here because Sheamus went through a table and the cameras barely caught it. Then Osmos threw Morrison through a table and the cameras again barely caught it. Lee ended up getting the spirit bomb here, and then as soon as they won, Sheamus brogue kicked Lee right in the face, and that ended the show as McIntyre and Sheamus argued. You know, the bad logic in the show and the stuff that didn't make sense really did hurt the show a lot, especially in the main and the Alexa Bliss segment with the Fiend and Randy Orton. You know, that's going to be the things you remember out of this one. If I didn't have a fast forward button and I had to watch through commercials, I don't think I would have liked this very much. I mean, the show kept moving. There really wasn't a lot of break at all, so I thought that part was good. But the camera work was really bad, and obviously some of the believability stuff was horrid. All right, guys. Thanks again. If you want to see all the pictures and gifs of the show, and you know that's the real good stuff, I think you can check it out on my site at ProWresBlog.blogspot.com. Thank you.